it's amazing how odd the telephone has been in my life. Graduated in January of 1976 with a BA in journalism and was thrilled that in February of 1976 I got my first job as a production assistant at KYW-TV at Channel 3. Someone with whom I'd gone to Temple called me up one day and said, "You need to get down to Channel 3. His actual words were, "You need to get your fat ass down to Channel 3, Gluck. They're hiring production assistants." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because Channel 3's parent company, Westinghouse, owns a station in Boston. They're having labor problems. They're going to lock out all of the technicians and take all of the unrepresented employees, non-union employees, to Boston to run that station, so they don't have any production assistants left here. They need one right away." So I went down there as quickly as I could and was fortunate I was hired. The person who hired me at KYW-TV was a man who became a lifelong mentor to me. Sadly, he passed away too soon and too young. A chap named Scott Goodfellow. And my aspiration, like so many others at that time, was to be a reporter. And Scott, while some might have thought this cruel, did me a great favor. He took me into his office, pulled out a hand mirror, held it to my face, said, "Take a good look. Do you really want to be a reporter?" And I said, "Well, I'm feeling warm and cuddly after that." He said, "Don't be a, quote, don't be a moron. I was a reporter. I'm a manager. You want to be a producer." Because producers are the ones who get up at 3:30 in the morning, call the reporters and say, "You go out in the cold and the snow to the 5-alarm fire," and then go back to bed till 8 o'clock. I thought, well, there's some virtue in that. I was the weekend producer. Then I moved the 6 o'clock hour, and then became executive producer. I guess I was 23 or 24 when that happened. The best and worst of times was the nuclear meltdown, almost nuclear meltdown at 3 Mile Island. 3 Mile Island sits closer to Baltimore than it does to Philadelphia in the Susquehanna River. And it was a dire time. Conversely, professionally, it was 72 of the best hours of my career. We had a second son, and I wasn't seeing much of either of them, and because nights are both the reward and the punishment for doing well. So I would go to work at 1 or 2 o'clock, and I would come home at 1 o'clock in the morning and wake my sons and play slot cars and get yelled at by my wife. And I came to this position where I was going to quit, and I walked into work to resign. And every ounce of cellulite in my body was shaking as I walked into Channel 10 that afternoon, and I walked right into the general manager as I came in the back door. And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I need," he goes, "You need to come see me right now." I'm thinking, okay, well, at least if I get fired, I'll get a severance. So I walk in full, again, expecting to be fired. He said, "I have a test for you, a secret." I go, "What is it?" He goes, "Tomorrow at 5 p.m., your news director, Jay Newman, is going to be named station manager of the station we just purchased in Miami. He interviewed last week. He doesn't know he's getting the job. You can't tell him or anyone else." I go, "Why are you telling me?" He goes, "Because at 5:05 you're going to be named news director." So I called my wife and my mother, and I said, "I have no clue what the hell's going on here. I went in to quit, and they promoted me," which is what, it is odd for me. It is that thread in my life that really explains faith to me. Because left to my own devices, I can screw up a microwave popcorn. But somebody, some power was looking out for me. So I wound up, I got a phone call from a friend who said they've installed a new news director at Channel 3. He comes from radio, Scott Herman. They're looking for somebody to work with him who's a born and bred TV person. So I met Scott. We hit it off like brothers, literally. I mean, I'm an only child, but it was like having a sibling. And I left Channel 10 as news director, took a week off, had an enormous blizzard, didn't have to go to work, took my kids sledding, probably the only time I got to do that, because in snow coverage you work, and started at Channel 3 as the executive editor. They asked me if I wanted to be news director. And I said, "I'll take a shot at that again." I did it for a couple of years. Wasn't a happy ending. The GM and I didn't care for each other personally, and for the first time in my career I got fired. 5:15, got fired, left the building at 5:30. Said to my wife, "We're going to go to the movies tonight," because we never go to the movies on a weeknight. And as I was walking out the door, the phone rang, and somebody offered me a job. to be the general manager of TUTV, and I was fortunate to have gotten this position. This is fun. It's fulfilling. I love the energy of this joint. I don't know that there's another place I could do this job and enjoy it. I have no clue. I'll wait for the phone to ring.